I'm aware you'll never be enough. There are other things I'm going to want, but underneath the ashes there's a goal that I've unearthed. Every time I count my blessings, I count you first.
Hello, happy new week, happy Monday. Welcome back to my channel, folks. If it's your first time visiting, hello there. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you being here at my little channel. Sadly, there will be no streams this week because I am currently off having fun visiting my two adorable granddaughters. However, I haven't abandoned you lovely humans. I have scheduled uploads for every morning as usual at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Australian time. I'll be back streaming next Monday, and rest assured, I am telling you, I will be missing your fine company. So today we are delving into the high strangeness that our beautiful nation of Australia sometimes delivers to those that visit and those who are fortunate enough to live in this lucky country. Number one on my list of 3 strange Australian cryptids is the four-tusked monster of the high country. This mysterious bipedal monster has been spotted in mountain ranges and high country and several sites across Australia. In 1932, an unidentifiable creature was troubling those who resided in Victoria's high country. It was said to stand like a human being, but was about 7 feet tall. Apparently, it had a large, hairy, round head with 4 white tusks that were said to have, and this is a quote, gleamed in the moonlight. As if that wasn't frightening enough, it was reportedly razor-clawed and swift and savage in attack. Yikes. That's not your stock standard bunyip right there. According to the Muswellbrook Chronicle of the 1st of March 1932, one unsuspecting nighttime traveller encountered this terrifying creature. The story appeared under the headline, "Mystery Animal Attacks Victorian Settler, Has 4 Tusks." Weird. Search parties tried to capture the creature, but an all-night search failed to locate it. The same publication claimed, and this is a quote, that the animal does exist and that it is savage is vouched for by Mr. William Nuttall of Myrtleford. Mr. Nuttall was returning home from Brighton with his sister and a companion. When approaching Europa railway station, he stopped to adjust his saddle gear, so he got off his horse and the others rode on. Suddenly, Mr. Nuttall was attacked by a strange animal. It snarled at him and charged, and this is a quote, tearing his shirt to ribbons. I wonder what else Mr. Nuttall might have been up to. Mr. Nuttall's startled horse managed to break free. Poor Nuttall chased onto the railway line. Luckily for Nuttall, the animal was prevented from continuing the pursuit by a wire fence, through which the terrified man, Mr. Nuttall, made his escape. Gosh, be careful if you're meandering through the Mount Buffalo district in case you're accosted by this four-tusked beast, also known as the bush prowler. Perth's Sunday Times on 28th of February 1932, what was going on in 1932? Reported a mysterious creature roaming mountain ranges that was described very similarly as a mystery animal, shaggy and powerful, is terrorising dwellers in the mountain ranges between Bright and Yakananda. Already the bush prowler, what a great name, has made 3 attacks on wayfarers, and prints of giant have been found in the soft soil. The bizarre description of this creature is described, and I don't mean to laugh, it would have been terrifying if you'd seen something like this, is described as a grizzly bear, an old man kangaroo, and a gorilla. Right, try and mix them together in your head. 5 men reported to have seen it. It is claimed it walks by night, it's 7 feet high, it has a hairy head, razor claws, 4 white tusks, and apparently it runs like a clumsy deer, and it lurks in shadows and leaps on passing horsemen. It was first reported by one of the Cherry brothers. They are farmers at Running Creek, who was going home about 10 o'clock on a moonless night. He came to a gate and bent from the saddle of a horse to lift the catch. The gate opened, and then there was a great grunt and a scuffle, and a bulky beast leapt at the horse's head. The horse bolted with Cherry clinging to its back. Next morning, he went down to the gateway and examined the ground. In a jumble of footmarks, he discerned prints that suggested the foot of a grizzly bear. Other men claimed to have had similar experiences. Bushmen scoured the country in search of the bush prowler and the four-tusked monster. Yikes. Number 2 is no better. It is, and some of you may have heard of this, it's pretty famous, the Prenty lizard of Central Australia. Now, we get some pretty big goannas and lizards here, and they're big enough as it is, but this is something else. The Prenty is a legendary gigantic lizard that apparently roams Central Australia. The Cairns Post on the 14th of August, 1931, in the early 30s, there was a real trend for cryptozoology, reported there is no room for doubt about the existence of the Prenty, a gigantic lizard of Central Australia. And that was a quote. So they said that it's definitely there. Okay. T.C. Wollaston, who discusses the Prenty in his book Opal, We of the Never Never, states that the Prenty has leisure and space to grow properly. It is powerful in limbs, beautiful in skin, its reach exceptional, 8 feet in length when its tongue is fully extended. Its colour is gamboge yellow with blackish grey markings and perfectly round spots as large as a shilling, and they apparently adorn the sides and neck like a pedigree Ayrshire. The Prenty has a long head and brilliant eye, and when it stands up with stiffened legs and arched body, its head bent forward, it looks a formidable beast. Those lizards actually look really crazy when they run on their back legs. It's a weird sight. Wollaston's accounts of the beautiful 8-foot-long Prenty pale in comparison to the 18-foot-long monster lizard reported in Darwin's Northern Standard just 5 months later, in January 1940. It was reported that Fred Blakely, leader of the first expedition to find the legendary Lassiter's Reef, and he was also known as the Bicycle Bushman, set off in search of the giant Prenty lizard of Central Australia. The Northern Standard reported, he hopes to bring back one alive. He claims to be one of the few white men who have seen a giant Prenty. He describes it as a mammoth lizard about 18 feet from snout to tail tip. Its claw tracks are about 6 feet apart. He continued to describe this monster lizard by stating, the claws are sharp and poisonous and inflict a wound which festers quickly and rarely heals. Yikes. The giant Prenty, he says, attacks chiefly with its tail. It can fell an ox, apparently, with a sweeping blow. It is faster than a crocodile, and its gait resembles a gallop. Aboriginal people apparently called the Prenty a debble-debble, Blakely told the Northern Standard. For the local Aboriginal folks, this giant lizard supposedly instilled great fear. Apparently, even the glare of a giant Prenty was enough to cause certain death. Just, think about that for a minute. A giant lizard with a death stare. Blakely recounted the story of one unfortunate Aboriginal who apparently died at Alice Springs a week after being glared at by the monster reptile. According to Blakely, a subsequent medical examination found no cause of death. That's creepy. You can keep that. I don't want any giant lizards with death stares. No, thank you. I love the outback, but that would certainly put me off it. This wasn't the first time that Blakely had recounted experiences with giant lizards roaming the Australian outback. 9 years earlier, Blakely's giant Prenty was discussed in Hobart's Mercury. On the 15th of August 1931, the paper published an article titled "Central Australian Dragon, a Fearsome Creature." In the article, Blakely recounted the alarming experience of Big Jim, an old prospector, who apparently stood 6 feet 8 inches tall and weighed 18 stone. Big Jim said he was walking along, scanning the ground, as is the habit of an opal fossicker, when he heard a peculiar sound. And looking up, Big Jim saw an enormous reptile challenging him. The man snatched up some rocks, whereupon the Prenty lashed its tail, undulated its back, and came springing towards him. As it did so, it apparently uttered a roar that mingled the bark of a dog and the growl of a lion. Big Jim promptly ran for his life. How did he outrun something that's faster than a crocodile? Just saying. Just saying, what was Big Jim drinking out there in Central Australia, opal fossicking? Blakely said that he had found the tracks of the creature the next day, and that they measured the distance from one outside claw to another as 6 feet 3 inches, and estimated its length as 15 feet. We don't only have Blakely's accounts of the Prenty, though. In a letter to the Townsville Daily Bulletin on the 15th of January 1937, Albert Morrow of Mapley Station, Alice Springs, gave an account of the Central Australian Prenty. In the article, Albert Morrow stated, "What we do get here and parts of the Northern Territory, which I do not think are anywhere else in Australia, is the giant goanna, or Prenty, better known as the Prenty. About 4 months ago in Alice Springs, I was shown the skin of one 10 feet in length. It was killed at the Wanaiki Goldfield and was killed for food. Strange as it may sound, it is very good tucker, and the flesh is white. There are so many more witnesses claiming to have had encounters with the Prenty. I couldn't fit them all in this video. However, if someone cooked me up some Prenty, I would try it. I would give it a go. I reckon it'd be yum. Plenty to feed everyone." Number 3, the Yahoo, the Goobri Man, and the Hoorie Woman. The Blue Mountains have long been associated with fearsome creatures that have terrified and captured the imaginations of generations of original inhabitants and colonial settlers alike. The Bathurst Free Press and Mining Journal on the 19th of June 1902 published an article on the traditions of the Aboriginal tribes of the Southern Blue Mountains. In Aboriginal traditions, the article describes the Yahoo. The author spoke of a local Burragorang elder who had told him about the Yahoo, what we now know today as the yowie. The author stated, "My informant also gave me some facts concerning the Yahoo. I cannot call to mind the Aboriginal name for this animal. The Yahoo, as we all know, is an animal said to resemble a man, only that his body is covered with long hair and his feet are turned backwards, the toes being where the heel should be. That is a very strange feature of a yowie, by the way. The author continues, the Aboriginals really believe that such an animal exists, and they are all afraid of it. My informant confidently believes that one is still living. He, indeed, offered to take me to the place where I could see it for myself. He says this strange creature is to be seen at the Devil's Hole, a point about 2 miles from Katoomba. He describes this particular yahoo as being large and strong, and I will hand over my invitation to visit it to some of our returned soldiers who might like to exercise their curiosity while waiting for their discharge from military authorities. That's hilarious. I know some veterans today who might enjoy hunting a yahoo, especially if they came upon one. Interestingly, this location is the same vicinity as the cave said to be inhabited by the Gubri man and the Huri woman. He then recounted the experience of a friend walking in that very same area. On one occasion, a gentleman was out walking amongst the mountains and had been out on the narrow neck in the neighbourhood of the Devil's Hole. Weird how so many strange things happen where there's the name devil in the name of the geography. Just saying, strange. He was belated and the shades of evening had set in before he left the secluded spot. After he reached home, he informed his friends that the yahoo had followed him all the way home. He had not seen it, but he could hear it quite distinctly following behind him and frequently heard the cry, "Yahoo! Yahoo!" The effect of this night's experience was never forgotten by my friend, and I firmly believe that it was no fancy on his part. I love these old articles. They're so great. The same article included another intriguing anecdote from a Burragorang elder. A story is told that on one occasion, an Aboriginal caught a yahoo woman and took her to be his wife. Children were born and reared, but after a time the tribe quarrelled over the strangers and killed both the mother and the children. Another example of a man and hairy beast interacting occurred around 1820 in the Pagoda Rocks of the Blue Mountains. The story goes that a 7-foot-tall female creature clad in a marsupial hide garment abducted 7-year-old Adam Firth from a creek bank near his family's farmhouse. That's weird. That's weird. That reminds me of something I've heard before. Anyway, Adam later claimed that he was carried off by the creature and kept in a large rock overhang where the hairy woman tempted him with a kangaroo leg she cooked over a smouldering fire. That was nice of her. Delicious. While held captive, he could hear other creatures in the bush nearby. I shouldn't say that because it'd be really, really scary for a little boy. Sorry. He escaped after the hairy woman bolted into the bush upon hearing the approaching cries of his family and the barking of their dogs. Now I remember, this is kind of eerily similar to some of the missing 411 cases of little kids being carried off by bear people and that. There's something strange. So be careful out there, folks. Like the Australian bush wasn't dangerous enough. Now we have all that to go on. And I could have gone on and on and on. There's so many strange encounters people have had, especially in the early 30s. Were they still using laudanum or something? But I hope you enjoyed our jaunt into some cryptozoology. Let me know in the comments if you want a part 2 for this subject, because there is lots more. Also, let me know of any strange and creepy encounters with Australian oddities that I haven't included or that maybe you've had. Let's have a Captain Cook at what's happening in the world today. News headlines that stood out to me was a story run by the Sun newspaper. This is a great one. The famous engineer Werner von Braun may have predicted Elon Musk's plot to colonize Mars 70 years ago. In his 1952 novel, Project Mars, von Braun described a man called Elon who ruled over the red planet. You know, is that life imitating art? That's great. It's your destiny, Elon. You have to do it. Today in history, on May the 10th in 1797, the first US Navy ship, the United States, is launched. On May the 10th in 1908, the very first Mother's Day was observed in Philadelphia. On May the 10th in 1910, Halley's Comet made its closest ever approach to Earth. Now, I love this one. I did not know that a Canadian invented this. On the 10th of May in 1915, Canadian physician Clooney Macpherson first presented his gas mask invention to the British War Office. Did you guys know it was a Canadian who invented the gas mask? On May the 10th in 1933, public book burnings were staged by a certain political party in Germany with frighteningly similar echoes to what's going on in our society right now. Something to think about. Today, I would like to recommend the YouTube channel Beyond Creepy to you all. The name is pretty self-explanatory. I love it. That is actually all I have time for today. Please let me know your thoughts on today's topics and share any ideas you might have for future video topics in the comments. Please click the thumbs up below the screen. Subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to ding my little bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Consider sharing this video so together we can build this community. I appreciate and value every one of you. I hope you can join me tomorrow for some tattoo talk at exactly the same time. Love and kisses. Bye. See you all later.